All right, y'all. I'm gonna go in a little different direction with part two. Now, I want to talk about why being a spiritual man and being a wise man creates the circumstances where your enemy can only make you better. It can only make you stronger. A lot of the times, the reason why we fall is because we play right into the hands of our enemies. You know, oftentimes to oppress people, one's values and structures must be destroyed. And also, ignorance must be promoted. Let's talk about ignorance being promoted. We live in a society now that's moved by emotion. Um, that's not really foundationally structured in truth and reality. You know, people too easily distracted. Let's talk about some logical things. Okay, if you complain about the system we live in, then you must also be aware that the mediums in which the system projects are also corrupted. We have to be aware of the distractions and the indoctrinations coming through the media, you know, i.e., our entertainments. You know, why is there so much focus on entertainment in this world? We have to ask these questions. Wisdom will tell us that we have no time to waste. Wisdom would tell us that we must be productive and meaningful things. You know, if we are in a system of oppression, then entertainment is just letting your guard down. And it starts young with the children. You know, we all say we're oppressed, but we don't act like we're oppressed. We need to be more aware of what we allow in our eyes, what we absorb from the medium of entertainment, what the children are exposed to. And as a spiritual man, we need to already align ourselves with the values of our Creator, align ourselves with the values of God, and be sure about what we know, based on reality, based on empirical fact. You know what's right and what's wrong, not even the Bible told you, because it's written inside of you. We have a mind that's based on the greatest mind. And because of that, which proves that we're made in the image of our Creator, we have an imprint of right and wrong based on our own objections to life, based on our own life lessons and experiences that prove itself to us every day. Life is a self-correcting process. We all know that being lazy, we all know that not preparing yourself, not equipping yourself with survival skills and knowledgeable skills are detrimental to progress and productivity. We know that spending most of our time doing superficial things is a waste of time. We know this, but yet we do this. We know that not strengthening our bodies will lead to weakness and sickness. But yet the majority of this world mindlessly chases chicken sandwiches and all this other foolishness while we pump up our fists to the system. We got to be real about what that looks like and what that means. It seems like we are more emotional about change than we are practical about change. And spiritually, we have to be able to discern how this world is and what it's about. Spiritually, we know the tactics of our enemies. You know, I always wondered when people say, well, white supremacy put the drugs in the neighborhoods. And I said, well, even poor, why do we have to use them? Why do we have to sell them knowing this? This is knowledge. What is the value of knowledge if you don't apply it? We know this. How many things do we know are destructive and we still do them knowingly? And yet we blame someone else. This is why there is no victimhood. Life doesn't allow victims. Because life is always filtering out the foolishness. Life makes you accountable by the consequences of your choices, whether you like it or not. You know, people take for granted what makes things moral and good, but they don't realize without God, without the imprint of our biblical creator, there's no expectation for you to even expect justice. And there's no imprint within yourself to even know what justice looks like. So, you know, it's just a lot of things that we just don't, we foolishly follow. We're followers. You complain about the system, but then you let the system direct your values. You let the system tell you what you need to, what's important, what's funny, what type of woman you want. And we stray away and we discredit the biblical truth that tells us a virtuous woman is of great value. That wisdom is a treasure beyond value. That sounds offensive. But, you know, what we see on media does. We got to be realistic, folks. You know, there's nothing unwise in the Bible. And everything in the Bible must be taken in its proper context to identify yourself as a spiritual man. If you read something foolishly, you're going to get a foolish answer, a foolish revelation. You know, the biggest issue I see with people reading when they read the Bible is they don't understand the context to who's speaking and the audience to which he's speaking to. Like many people, if you take before the words of Jesus, he said Jesus wants us to be weak. They don't take into account that when Jesus is speaking to people who already believe and accept him for who he is, he's expecting those folks to show brotherly and sisterly love. And he wants, and when he's talking to the enemies of good and truth, he doesn't want conformity. He wants them not to intermingle with them, not to take on their custom and their ways. You know, always be aware of who's speaking and the audience to whom he's speaking to. Sometimes Jesus was speaking to the believers who followed and trusted in him, and among other believers who already accepted fundamental values in the truth, to which it would not be detrimental for them to show the kind of unconditional love to one another, because they've already agreed on the bigger purpose. But when Jesus was speaking to the enemies of himself, he called them out. He exposed them openly. He was bold. He was not weak. You know, to the Pharisees, these are religious people of his time, he said, your father's a devil because you do his will. Does that sound like some weak person who would challenge the established authority of his time and the Roman government? One man who everybody thinks, Jesus said turn the other cheek. But this man stood up to the Roman government and the religious people of his time to the detriment of his own well-being. Nothing weak. Because when he said turn the other cheek, he was speaking to those who call themselves brethren. He doesn't even want you to be around the evil man to have to even deal with that. And that's the power of wisdom. Why isn't prevention a tool among people who believe they're oppressed? Prevention. Why is it always must be a cleanup job? Why can't we really get serious about establishing the values and the structure so that we don't have to find ourselves in the situations where we have to clean up after the fact, like the destruction of the family and this media of foolishness that doesn't enact values. We can't get along in relationships if we don't understand what is good and what is true. You just tell a bunch of blind fools to date each other where you get today's results. No one has structure of good and evil aligned with the truth. Everybody is doing what feels good, what is emotional, man and woman. And it's definitely detrimental for men because we are the upholders of structures. We don't expect it to come from anywhere but ourselves. This is why men like to build with their hands. This is why men like to do things for themselves rather than having to depend on someone else, because to do something right, you must do it yourself. All men know this. Even when you hire a quote, unquote, professional, there's a chance that that person does not know what they're doing just because they're call themselves an expert or professional. We have to take control for us seeking knowledge. Stop taking secondhand knowledge. Stop hearing the Bible from someone that you don't know. Read it for yourself, unbiased from what someone told you, but reading it open-minded to understand what it actually says without you being pre-programmed to believe what it says by someone who you have to trust too. Contrary to what most people have heard about the Bible, you're taking it on faith about what somebody else told you. And we got to get real about a lot of things in this world, man. But I just wanted to add this to it. So I'm gonna leave it here. Peace.